have some great, if not strange, news for Nintendo Switch 2 today. Some of it dealing with some of the games and some updates to them, including some release dates. Some of it dealing with the actual system UI and our first massive look at the real home screen for Nintendo Switch 2, and more. Weirdness with Switch 1 Pro controllers as well. They are compatible, so don't worry about that. You can use your Switch 1 Pro controllers, but there's some weird features that won't work, and I'm not really understanding the design decision for it. But you know what? We got to dive into this stuff after I remind you, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do is go down to the link down in the pinned comment or the description. It'll take you to a giveaway website known as Viral Sweep. You can enter there. I wish everyone luck, and let's go ahead and dive in. And the first thing we're going to look at is really one of the more interesting pieces of news, and that is the Switch 2 home screen. This actually comes off the Nintendo Japanese website. I had to capture this screenshot because it kind of like quickly siphons through it, and you have to zoom in like 300% to make the full system show up. So this is the easiest way for me to show this. I will, however, put a link down in the description to the actual website it came from. But as you can see, it's very much the Nintendo Switch 1 home screen with a few changes. Some of the changes obviously being some of the icons at the bottom, rounding all the edges. And for some reason, Nintendo always presents the Nintendo Switch, and in this case, Switch 2 UI with the white theme. I don't know why they never present it with the dark theme. Maybe they're hiding something. There is a theme menu on Switch 1 that Nintendo basically only used for white or dark. It would be really nice if there's more themes that might get added in there, and maybe they're hiding that fact. I obviously don't know what each of these icons do. The Nintendo Switch Online one, we've already seen a little bit of what that app looks like. It actually looks like a massive improvement. The C button's obviously your game chat button. The little paper green thing there, this news looking thing, that's probably the new news channel. This is the new eShop icon. This is your photo album. I don't know what this is. It could be a feature Nintendo hasn't shown yet. I have no idea. I was looking at my Switch 1 today and at the home screen, and I don't know what that could be. I'm literally staring at it's a new icon. So maybe it's like messages. Maybe there's direct messages or something. So it's more like an email icon. I don't really know. Then you obviously have your controller icon for syncing controllers. You have a game icon, which I think that icon is for game sharing. I think that's the point of that. So virtual game sharing might have its own icon. Then you obviously have your system settings and your power button. Notably as well, down at the bottom, this plus is now always showing instead of only showing sometimes on Switch 1. So again, there could be other fine-tuned changes in there. Maybe we can pin folders to the home screen. Maybe we can custom organize everything and not just have some presets. I have no idea, but that is a look at the Nintendo Switch 2 home screen. Now, we have to get into our next piece of news, and this one deals with game chat. And a feature of game chat that I think was obvious that it was going to have, but it's nice to have it finally confirmed as it wasn't announced, last week, a couple weeks ago. Nintendo Switch 2 Game Chat will have a report feature. We're reading this off of Nintendo Everything. And it says here, according to Nintendo, its new Game Chat function for Switch 2 will include a report feature. Game Chat is one of the big things being highlighted for the upcoming console. Up to 12 people can chat while playing titles on the system. And on top of that, screen sharing is possible. Now, it's only possible 4 people, to be clear. Given how conservative Nintendo has been with online features in some ways, some may feel that the inclusion of Game Chat with Switch 2 is surprising. But as always, safety will be a priority. Though, we now know that a report feature is included, Nintendo hasn't provided full details yet. So this comes from that Nintendo Switch 2 producer interview, and it says, Sasaki, first of all, in terms of safety, this is compatible with Parental Controls app. Parental controls for the minor who's going to be using the hardware can be set and controlled through the app. Please, parents, monitor what your kids are doing online. Can't say this enough. Too many of us just have no clue what our kids are doing when they get on any device, including a Switch. Please pay attention. That being said, as you scroll down here, Kowamoto says the only people that minors will be able to chat with are those friends that their parents have approved. So you can add whoever you want to your friends list, but only your parents can approve of who you can actually video and voice chat with. Very important feature. I'm glad Nintendo is forcing that for children. Next, Dota. When it's just 2 adults, they also need to be friends with each other to be able to chat. You don't have to approve it through the app, obviously. You won't find yourself in a situation where you'll be placed in a chat with strangers. Now, it's of note, that's just for game chat. If you're still doing like Fortnite or Call of Duty lobbies, those are going to be outside of this realm. And to be fair, it's outside of this realm on Xbox and PlayStation as well. When you go into those public chat lobbies and third-party games, yeah, you're on their servers in their chat lobbies, which is a separate system from the actual local system. So this is all local system game chat. You have to be friends. All right. You can import your friends from the Nintendo Switch to do some fine tuning because there are bound to be people who like to chat and people who prefer not to chat. And Kawamoto says, ultimately, if something does happen, if you're chatting with someone and you don't want to chat with, you can also report them. There's a report feature. So I do think that that is very good on Nintendo. They're giving all the control to the users, the parents. And yeah, if someone's doing something extremely inappropriate, it's not just about like, yeah, you can remove them from their friends list and block them. How about just letting Nintendo know, hey, this person, I don't know, exposed themselves during a video chat, and that is not cool, and nobody should have to see that. Yeah, you're going to want to report stuff like that. So I'm glad Nintendo has such features. And another thing that's really interesting is Madden and FC were announced by EA for Nintendo Switch 2. But that's it. No details until today. And I'm going to leave this up to you to decide if what they had to say about these games is good news or bad news, because in the end, there's been a very tumultuous history with EA and Nintendo over the years. The unprecedented partnership on Wii U that ended up amounting to like 3 games, and only one of those games was actually a decent port. Kind of dumb. Madden being an extremely old version. Then obviously you fast forward to Switch, where FIFA, now known as FC, that ended up not exactly being great, as it ended up being legacy versions of the game, not the full featured new version. So I'll let them talk for themselves, and you can decide. So here's what we have over on Nintendo Everything. And it says Madden, NFL, and FC for Nintendo Switch 2 to offer feature parity with consoles, but only as much as the hardware allows. What? So during last week's Nintendo Direct, EA announced Madden, NFL, and FC for Switch 2. That means the big sports franchises will be appearing at some point, though we're not quite sure as to what's planned at the moment. I'm assuming the next versions are probably coming. Anyways, commenting on its recent Nintendo Switch 2 announcements, EA said, "We're excited to bring 2 of our most beloved franchises, EA Sports FC and Madden NFL, to Switch 2, giving fans even more ways to play the sports they love, anytime, anywhere. Both experiences are being built specifically for the new handheld platform, grounded in what fans enjoy from our franchises across platforms. We look forward to sharing more soon." Now, EA was asked about whether or not there would be feature and or visual parity with current generation consoles. In response, they said, "We'll share more details on the Madden, NFL, and FC experiences for Switch 2 at a later date, but our goal is to always deliver a consistent player experience across platforms as much as the hardware allows." Madden was obviously a major gift for Nintendo because we didn't previously had it. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is purpose-built for Switch 2 could mean it's not the actual current gen version. Could be a last gen version. They could be going back to the Wii days where it's all motion control throwing and arcade like. This is the problem when you hear like purpose built for Switch 2. You were asked specifically about feature parity. Oh, as much as the hardware allows. It's Madden. It's FC. The hardware allows for all of your features. Maybe you won't have the same visual stuff. Like maybe visually you have to bring back the settings, but it should have the same experience. Look, as someone who plays Madden in particular every year and plays in a semi-serious league with a bunch of buddies and trash talking and all this good stuff, I want to hear that you're actually planning to have it be a feature complete game rather than purpose built for Switch 2. So I have some reservations here because, again, EA has proven to have a very, very crappy track record with Nintendo. So I guess I'm just going to hope for the best. But I have a feeling I'm still going to be playing Madden either on PS5 or Xbox Series X instead because I'm not that confident they're actually going to get this right. But we'll see over time. Now, next up, we have some news about the Zelda games, and a feature that we've always wanted in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's been talked about by fans for a long time, and that is the ability to repair items in some way. Now, there are certain items, like the Champions items in Breath of the Wild, that can be repaired, but for the most part, this isn't a thing in the game. You could build a crazy favorite weapon, and once it breaks, that's the end of it. Or once it's partially damaged, there's nothing you can do to renew it and put it back to new status. Obviously, this could be something that they have in mind for a brand new Zelda game down the line. Maybe they don't even have the weapon breaking system in a new Zelda game. We don't know. But what about the current ones that are being updated for Switch 2? Well, they actually do have this feature, and it's included in a very weird way. Let's get over to this article by The Gamer. It says Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have finally introduced a weapon durability fix. So, let's scroll down here. So the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom seemingly offer a new weapon durability fix, as the new Zelda Notes app has a daily bonus for repairing equipment. As you'd expect from one of the most influential and popular video games of all time, Breath of the Wild's unique approach to player expression and freedom generated its fair share of discourse and discussion. Undoubtedly, one of the biggest had to do with, well, weapon durability, right? That was a really, really big one. You either love it or you hate it. There really wasn't much in between. So, here's the thing. They introduced a new way to repair equipment. This came from a Zeltic video. One of the big features coming alongside the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is a new mobile app called Zelda Notes, shown off during the reveal. It has a variety of uses, from capturing creations to guiding towards items. As reported by Video Game Chronicle and originally spotted by YouTuber Zeltic, one of the app's features is a random daily bonus roll. That bonus roll can give players a random buff, such as recovering stamina, recharging energy cells, or offering a specific type of meal. The most interesting of these is a bonus, and it's one that Zelda specifically pointed out, called Equipment Repairs, which seems like it'll repair whatever item is equipped. And when we go over to the article here on VGC, we can actually see a screenshot of it. So you see the energy cell recharge, stamina recovery, a tough meal, electro meal, and equipment repairs, which notably has a 3-star rating, maybe is one of the most difficult things to get. We don't obviously know how this works because we haven't seen anybody actually hit on the equipment repairs. So this is a very fascinating thing in that we have this here, but we're not really sure, like, this is let you choose one item that you can repair per day if you get this. This is just, if you randomly get this, now you just have the ability to repair items. How do repair items work? Do you need to have, like, materials to repair? So there's a lot of unknowns because nobody has seemingly hit on this when testing the games. It must be a very, very, very hard to hit on. So as you scroll down in here, just looking for different information, there's no different information here because while this comes from Zeltic and pointed out by him, the bottom line is we don't actually know. We have no idea how it works. We just know that it's included. To me, it's a very strange way to include it, but it's there at least. And you know what? Having it's better than not. So, Nintendo being Nintendo, I guess. As I said, great news, but strange news. Now we get to the controller part. So Switch 1 controllers are compatible with Nintendo Switch 2, but there's some caveats with that compatibility. So this comes over from the European Nintendo website, and it says you can continue using your existing controllers. Nintendo Switch 2 comes with a pair of Joy-Con 2 controllers in the box, and is also compatible with Nintendo Switch controllers, such as the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller and Joy-Con. Now, it says the Nintendo Switch Pro controllers can be used wirelessly and are compatible with Switch 2 exclusive games, but they cannot be used if the game requires features to Joy-Con 2, such as mouse controls, obviously. But here's the weird. That's what I mean, weird. Great news, everything's compatible. Bad news, you cannot exit sleep mode on Switch 2 using the home button on Nintendo Switch controllers, such as the Joy-Con and Nintendo Switch Pro controller. On controllers without a C button, you can start game chat by selecting the option on the home menu. Now, that part makes sense. This part right here, sure, there's no C button, so you're going to have to do it from the home menu. What doesn't make sense is why the hell can you not hit the home button and exit your system out of sleep mode? That to me is really weird. Now, is this like the biggest of deals? Now, you can walk up and hit the power button, you can wake it up with your Joy-Con 2s, but it's still weird that, like, there's a home button on both of them. On Switch 2 controllers, it wakes your system up. On Switch 1 controllers, it doesn't. And I'm wondering why. I'm wondering what is designed differently between these two controllers that would make that functionality break on a Switch 1 Pro controller. And who knows, maybe there is an update, because there is firmware for the Switch Pro controller. Maybe they release an update in the future that does make it work, especially if enough people are like, man, this is kind of annoying. Why doesn't this just work? But when I have the Switch 2 Pro controller, it's fine. It's the same button, right? So why doesn't it have the same functionality? Why is it essentially not working on the Nintendo Switch Pro controller? I have no idea, but again, great news. Everything's compatible. Bad news, a basic function suddenly doesn't work. Weird. Anyways, as I said, great news, but weird news today. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime. And what sucks is my next video deals with more misinformation. I thought I was done with it. I thought we were done with the mass spreading the misinformation, but it's happening again. So we need to address it again. It is what it is. I hate making those kind of videos, but that's what you have to look forward to later today. I will catch everyone in the next one.